Today we are going to start with the third unit called as the paying banker, right? We studied about the second unit, collecting banker, correct? So today we'll be looking at the other side of the transaction, the banker who will pay the money of the transaction. So in this chapter, we'll be looking at a brief of who's a paying banker, right? What are the precautions that he must be aware when he has to honor the check? What is the statutory protection provided to the paying banker by the Reserve Bank of India, that is the RBI. We'll also study a new topic here called as endorsement. Okay, the concept and what are the essentials of a valid endorsement. We're going to study the types or the kinds of endorsement, and in detail we're going to look at what is a check, what are the features of a check, and what are the types of check. Clear? So these are the contents that we'll be covering under the third unit. So the meaning. Who is a paying banker? Paying banker refers to the banker who holds the account of the drawer of the check and is obligated to make payment of the check of the funds are sufficient. Clear? What does the statement say here? For an example, if Mr. A has given a check to Mr. B of rupees 5,000. Okay, Mr. A has drawn a check on Mr. B for rupees 5,000. A's bank is Canara Bank, let's assume, and B's bank is SBI Bank. So, Mr. B has an account in which bank? SBI Bank. So, he will take that check, okay, and go and submit to SBI Bank. Now, it is the statutory duty of SBI Bank, okay, to collect the amount of check on behalf of their customer, which is Mr. B, from the Mr. A's bank. So SBI Bank is what? Collecting the amount of check. That means SBI Bank is acting as collecting banker. Okay? Who has drawn the check? Who owns the check? Mr. A. Mr. A has written the check. Okay? So, Mr. A has account in which bank? Canara Bank. So, Canara Bank has to pay the amount in the check. What is the amount? Rupees 5,000. Clear? So, Mr. A account is in Canara Bank. So, Canara Bank will become the paying banker. Clear to all of you? Paying banker refers to the banker who holds the account of the drawer of the check. In our example, who is the drawer of the check? Mr. A. Mr. A drew the check. Okay. Therefore, A's banker is Canara Bank. So, Canara Bank is obligated to make the payment of the check. Clear? The concept of collecting and paying banker. Now let's understand what are the precautions to be taken by the banker, that is the paying banker, while honoring the check. Here we have 8 different points, okay, or 8 different precautions to be taken. Today we'll be looking at only 4. So the first one is open or cross check. Second is proper form. Third is presentment of check. Fourth is the date of check. Fifth, mutilated check. Sixth, words and value. 7, alteration and overwriting. And the last one, proper endorsement. Okay, let's look at those precautions one by one. So, first one is open or cross check. You remember last video I taught you guys about what is a bearer check, or otherwise called as open check. It's the same, okay? Open check or bearer check means one and the same. Cross check what you see on the screen on the left side. Can you see on the left top corner the two lines, parallel lines that has been drawn? That means the check has been crossed. Okay, so banker has to verify whether the check is open or cross check. Now remember, now since we have understood what is an open check, what is a cross check, in general what business people or what the account holders use is mostly crossed check, because we do know the dangers of a open check. That means anybody who has the check leave, or if it's lost and found, they can go to the bank and encash it. Okay, so therefore we have to be careful to only issue a crossed check. Okay, so the paying banker, when he's paying the check amount, okay, now since we explained the example before, let me connect back to it. Now A's account is in Canara Bank and B's account is in SBI Bank. So SBI Bank will send the check for collection to paying banker, which is Canara Bank. Now before Canara Bank honors the check leave, they have to check whether it is a open check or a crossed check. Because what happens when it is an open check? Open check can be encashed at the counter. So when you show it at the counter, immediately they will encash it. Or if it is a cross check, it is credited to the respective account directly. Now when Mr. B goes to SBI account and asks for money, okay, because it is a cross check, the cashier won't give him money in cash. Instead, what will the cashier do? Cashier at the bank will credit that 5,000 rupees amount directly to his account. Clear? Directly to his savings account. So from the account, Mr. B can withdraw the money and use it. Clear? So the number one thing a paying banker has to check, whether it is an open or a cross check. Second is proper form. A banker should see whether the check is in proper form. Now anytime if you have seen a check leaf, right, which is duly signed or written, etc., you can see the check is not crushed, the check is not crumbled like how you crush a paper. Have you ever seen a check like that? No. The check is supposed to be in a very presentable format. Okay, it should be in a proper form, not torn, not any scratches, or not any handwriting which is written out of place, right? In a check, as you see here, see there is a place to write a name. Can you look at the bottom of the picture? There is a place to write the amount, there is place to write the rupees in value, okay, there's a place to write the date, and also place to write signature. So there is a designated place to write the respective details. In case a check is written upside down, I mean to say they have written in the blank spaces. Can you see at the bottom you find a little bit blank space, there's nothing. What if you're going to sign there? Is it a proper form? No, it is improper form. Bank will dishonor it. Clear? If you're not mentioned the name properly over there, it is not in a proper form. Or the rupees, etc. All these things must be carefully analyzed by the paying banker when I talk about proper form. Number 3, presentment of the check. So banker can honor the checks presented with that branch where the drawer has an account. So I cannot go to a bank where I have not have my bank account in, right? Because every bank has different branches. So which particular branch you are an account holder, only to that particular branch you have to go and submit your check. Clear? So you cannot present your check in, see, if your account, you're holding the account in SBI Bank, okay, but then you give your check leaf to S Bank. Do you think the bank will honor it? Are you presenting it in the right bank or branch? No. So it is important whether the check has to be presented in a particular branch of a bank. Fourth one, date of the check. Now again, this is a very important concept. Date of the check cannot be mistaken. Check should neither be post dated or stale check. Okay. If the banker honors the check before due date, he loses statutory protection. Number one, let's understand what is the maturity period for a check. Now, for every financial instrument like bill of exchange or commercial bill, commercial paper, remember you studied all this in your IFM paper last semester, right? Various secondary market instruments or primary market instruments, remember? All those instruments had a maturity date, right? Or had a valid time period to it. Likewise, also check. Check also has a time of maturity period. From the date it has been drawn to the next 3 months is the valid period of the check. Let me repeat that. If the check is drawn on January 1st, 2020, Jan 1st, 2020, the validity period of the check is 31st March 2020. Clear to all of you, right? So 3 months is the valid period of a check to be honored. Okay, so imagine I am writing the check today. Let's assume today is July 1st. Okay, I'm assuming today is July 1st and I write the check for 5th July. Okay, I'm writing the check for 5th July. Now, if the check is taken to the bank must not honor it yet. Okay, because it is what? Post dated. Has the check been right time to honor? No. As July 5th already occurred? No. It is just July 1st today. So, I am not going to honor the check. In case the paying banker honors the check before it is due, when it is due? July 5th. I am going to the bank and honoring the check on July 1st. If the banker honors the check, will the banker receive any protection? No. The statutory protection cannot be availed by the paying banker from the RBI. Okay. When can you receive statutory protection? Only when you honor the check when it is due. Understood what is a post-dated check? Post-dated check is when I write the check today but for a future date. Until that date occurs, bank must not honor the check. Clear? The second category is stale check. It is the one which has been in circulation for unreasonable time, right? This very rarely happens, okay? Because anybody who receives the check would definitely want to encash it, right? Or at least get it credited to their account. But there are certain checks which are in circulation for an unreasonable time. Now, what did I tell you the valid period of a check was? 3 months. Now, let's say you received a check from your owner or from your office, but you forgot to encash it or submit it in your bank. Has the check completed 3 months? Yes. Even after the check has completed its valid time period, and then you're going to the bank and trying to encash it, it becomes stale check. Okay, that means it has been in circulation for unreasonable time. After 6 months, you will realize, You have got a check, you forgot to encash it. So after 6 months, you go to the bank and try to encash it. Will the bank encash it? No. Bank is not supposed to encash the stale check because it has been in circulation for unreasonable time. So the first four precautions that today we learned was what? Open or cross check. The paying banker has to verify that. Second, it must be in proper form. It must be presented to a duly branch where the drawer has an account. And the fourth one, date of the check. Clear to all of you? The rest four precautions we will discuss in the upcoming class.